I was planning to attend City College in San Francisco at the time. Nothing you're studying there will help you in the career you want to pursue, she added. Who can forget the charming Jeannie who blinked her way into our hearts, the pink attire, and the magic lamp? There was more to I Dream of Jeannie than just a TV program. It was a symbol, and Barbara Eden, with her radiant grin and easygoing charm, stood right in the middle of it. She seemed to have it all and made millions of people laugh. Barbara Eden, now 93, is finally opening up about what happened behind the scenes. She remained mute for years, letting the world believe the fairy story. However, it turns out that the reality is far from magical. There was struggle, tension, and disappointment behind the laughter. Few people were aware of the pressure, control, and emotional suffering that accompanied the show's fantasy and humor. Behind the scenes, Barbara was subtly dealing with something far more serious while we all saw Jeannie fall head over heels for Major Nelson. What then happened on the I Dream of Jeannie set? What was the reason behind Barbara Eden's prolonged silence? Why is she now coming clean at last? You could be surprised by the answers, and they might even change your opinion of the show forever. Everyone fell in love with the enchanted presentation. The famous American sitcom I Dream of Jeannie blends humor with fantasy. Sidney Sheldon was the author and ran for 139 episodes over 5 seasons on NBC from 1965 and 1970. Larry Hagman plays Tony Nelson, an astronaut who finds her bottle and permanently changes her life, and Barbara Eden plays Jeannie, a beautiful 2,000-year-old Jeannie. Tony's space capsule crashes upon a deserted island at the start of the novel. He finds an odd bottle on the shore while he waits to be rescued. He uncaps it, and Jeannie emerges in a puff of smoke, then speaks Persian to him at first, but then switches to English when Tony asks her to. Tony tells her she's free as a thank you for helping to rescue him. However, Jeannie, who is already smitten with Tony, sneaks into his duffel bag to go home with him. Tony tries to hide Jeannie's otherworldly abilities in the real world. He first imprisons her in the bottle before letting her off to live on her own. Jeannie is always trying to help Tony, even when her efforts at good actions cause more suffering than help. Her wizardry often leads to amusing problems, especially when Tony has to explain the unexplainable to Dr. Bellows, NASA's doubtful psychiatrist. Roger Healy, Tony's other best friend, also goes on the journey. He tries and fails to use Jeannie's abilities for his own benefit after learning that she is a genie. When Jeannie's evil twin sister shows up towards the end of the show, she tries to take Tony away and causes mayhem. Things drastically change in Season 5. Due to a misunderstanding involving her home country of Basenji, Tony is forced to wed Jeannie. He eventually realizes that he is truly in love with her, despite his initial opposition. Following their marriage, the focus of the show shifts from hiding Jeannie herself to hiding her magical abilities. I Dream of Jeannie was popular because it included romance, humor, and a little magic. And we are still captivated by Barbara Eden's iconic portrayal of the genie. In addition to becoming popular on television, I Dream of Jeannie also appeared in video games, comic books, and even cartoons. 2 fun comic book issues based on the series were released by Dell Comics in 1966. When Airwave brought Jeannie back in a new guise in 2001 and 2002, fans were treated to 3 more comic volumes. There was more magic to come. The Milton Bradley Company created a board game inspired by the show in 1965. Fans were able to add a little genie magic to their living spaces. Additionally, Trendmasters developed a series of I Dream of Jeannie games for Microsoft Windows in 1995 and 1996, which you may remember if you were a video gamer in the 1990s. These gave players a completely new method to interact with the show's universe. Casinos joined in as well. In 2015, a slot machine with a genie theme debuted, providing viewers a throwback look to the program. Literally. Remember the animated version as well. Hanna-Barbera introduced Saturday morning television to Jeannie in 1973. Corey Anders, a teenage surfer, and his 2 genie companions, Jeannie and Babu, an eccentric genie in training, were the focus of this series. It's interesting to note that Mark Hamill, a legend of Star Wars, provided the voice of Corey. Jeannie's magic has clearly never been limited to a single screen. Barbara Eden's early life and career. On August 23, 1931, Barbara Eden was born in Tucson, Arizona. Hubert Henry Moorhead was her father, and Alice Mary was her mother. Barbara and her mother moved to San Francisco after her parents' divorce. After her mother married Harrison Connor Huffman, a telephone lineman, she obtained a half-sister there. Barbara had close ties to the city and lived in the Parkside neighborhood of San Francisco. Generations of her family had lived there. She even heard tales of her grandfather arriving in town on a clipper ship and her grandmother arriving in a covered wagon. The Great Depression was a difficult time in history. Her mother sang to raise everyone's spirits because her family didn't have much money. Barbara was raised in a musical family and started performing at an early age. She sung with local bands as a teenager and made her stage debut in a church choir. Barbara started taking music seriously at the San Francisco Conservatory of Music when she was just 16 years old. At City College of San Francisco, she also studied acting and went on to work in theater. She participated in the Miss California pageant and won Miss San Francisco in 1951. When she began making appearances on television shows like I Love Lucy, Perry Mason, Gunsmoke, and The Andy Griffith Show in the middle of the 1950s, she made her breakthrough. She went on to make appearances in films, even working briefly with Elvis Presley on Flaming Star. However, Barbara's most significant part came in 1965 when she was cast as the lead in I Dream of Jeannie by producer Sidney Sheldon. She played Jeannie, a magically gifted genie who lived in a bottle and fell in love with Larry Hagman's character, an astronaut. She became well-known thanks to the 5-year run of the show. Barbara performed in a number of theater productions, including Annie, Get Your Gun, The Sound of Music, and South Pacific after Jeannie. She also starred in a number of TV series, including Who Killed the Centerfold Model, Stone Street, The Stranger Within, and romantic comedies like The Secret Life of Kathy McCormick, which she co-produced. She starred in the late 1970s movie Harper Valley PDA, which served as the basis for the same-titled television show. She played a fierce single mother named Stella Johnson. The show ran for 2 seasons and was a success. She also served as the face of Legs Pantyhose at this time, making appearances in magazine ads and TV commercials. Barbara resumed her acting career in the 1990s and 2000s. She went on tour with plays like Love Letters and The Odd Couple, met up with Larry Hagman again in Dallas, and even made appearances on chat shows to promote the DVDs of I Dream of Jeannie. At a Vienna charity event in 2013, she shocked audiences by donning her well-known Jeannie outfit. Long into her 80s and 90s, Barbara Eden continued to be active, demonstrating that she is a true star with a lasting legacy and an eternal beauty. Her private life. Jeannie, Out of the Bottle, Barbara Eden's 2011 memoir, revealed the world about her life. Crown Archetype, a Random House imprint, published it on April 5th. Fans quickly embraced it, and it quickly became a hit, ranking number 14 on the New York Times bestseller list. Barbara uncloaked like never before in her book. She didn't just talk about her time spent working on Jeannie. She shared with us every detail of her life, both the good and the bad. She talked about her early years, growing up in San Francisco, and the struggles her family had during the Great Depression. She talked about how she eventually broke into Hollywood after realizing she had singing and acting abilities. Barbara also wrote about the people she collaborated with over her long career, the most of whom were well known in their own right. Naturally, she plunged into the story of I Dream of Jeannie, but she did not avoid the more difficult aspects of her life either. She discussed her 3 marriages openly. From 1958 till 1974, she was initially wed to actor Michael Ansara. She was next married to Charles Fiegert from 1977 to 1982. Her 3rd husband is her current one, John I, Colts, with whom she wed in 1991. Perhaps the saddest aspect of her history was the death of her sole son, Matthew Ansara. In 2001, Matthew died from a drug overdose in his 35th year. Barbara wasn't shy to express how much this pained her. She referred to it as an emotional breakdown and stated it was one of the toughest experiences she's ever had to endure. Even through all the grief, Barbara has persisted with courage and dignity. In June 2021, when she was promoting her children's book, Barbara and the Djinn, she announced that she, along with her husband, John, had recovered from the disease. They weathered the scare together. By the time she was 92 in 2023, Barbara was still living life to the fullest and loving it. She explained that her day now is all about her husband John, her dog Bentley, her house, and her friends and family whom she adores. On television, she might have been a magical genie, but in real life, Barbara Eden's life has been full of actual emotion, bravery, and strength. Barbara Eden wasn't a fan of Jeannie and Tony getting married. In the first 4 seasons of I Dream of Jeannie, one of the largest reasons for viewing was the flirtatious tension between serious astronaut Tony Nelson and playful, magical Jeannie. who shared a roof with him. Despite Jeannie's looks, sense of humor, and love for Tony, always willing to make his every desire come true, he managed to keep things platonic. Their will they or won't they engagement kept audiences engaged. By 1969, things were changing. The sexual revolution was underway, and audiences were demanding more romance and advancement in TV relationships. So, the creators of the show decided it was time to allow Jeannie and Tony to finally hook up. They married in season 5, but that's also when the magic began to wear off. And in fact, that season proved to be the final one for the show. Barbara Eden, Jeannie's actress, later commented about this significant shift. In a Today Show interview with Willie Geist, she confessed that she did not approve of the decision to wed the two characters. According to her, it ruined the show. Most fans and critics agree that marrying off main characters too early tends to suck the fun out of a show, and I Dream of Jeannie was a prime example of that. The lighthearted magic was traded in for something far more mundane, and the show just wasn't the same. She was pregnant when I Dream of Jeannie first aired. Barbara Eden's red and pink Jeannie getup is perhaps the most iconic fashion look on television. The look was fashionable, playful, and yes, a bit risque. But if you revisit the early episodes of I Dream of Jeannie, you'll see something a little different. For the initial 10 episodes following the pilot, Jeannie's look was considerably more covered up. The reason wasn't due to anything related to TV censors or regulations. It was because Barbara Eden was indeed pregnant. Eden discovered she was pregnant about the same time the show was formally picked up by the network. Rather than recasting her, the producers decided to work around her burgeoning baby bump. They became creative and employed a number of tricks to conceal her pregnancy on camera. One of the primary things they did was include additional layers and veils in her costume. Barbara teasingly reminisced about how she appeared during those initial episodes. In an interview conducted by Lifetime's Intimate Portrait series in 2001, she quipped, "I looked like a walking tent." Her fans may not have known it then, but those loose pieces of clothing were not merely for fashion purposes. They were specifically planned to conceal her pregnancy from the audience. Keeping Barbara on the show, instead of recasting her, proved to be an excellent decision. She added so much charm and vibrancy to the character, even when she was pregnant, and fans immediately adored her. The producers of the show obviously recognized how crucial she was to the wonder of I Dream of Jeannie, and their decision to stand behind her was worth it. So, the next time you're watching the early shows, take a closer glance at Jeannie's costume. You'll see the extra veils and additional coverage. Now you'll understand why it wasn't so much a fashion statement. It was a thoughtful means of maintaining TV magic while being supportive of their star during a very special point in her life. Jeannie's magical comeback. Even years after I Dream of Jeannie was off the air, Barbara Eden showed she still possessed the magic. In 2013, at the ripe age of 78, she slipped back into her iconic red and pink Jeannie getup and utterly amazed the audience. The surprise moment occurred at the Life Ball, a massive annual charity event in Vienna, Austria that raises funds for AIDS research and support. The event is characterized by colorful costumes, large performances, and star guests. But no one anticipated Barbara Eden arriving in her traditional Jeannie 1960s television show attire. Dressed in her iconic harem pants, cropped blouse, and bolero jacket, Eden was the epitome of the Jeannie everyone had admired over the past decades. But she didn't merely dress the part. She also had the Jeannie magic to match. With her cheeky grin, she crossed her arms, gave that trademark nod and wink, and voila. She magically brought former U.S. President Bill Clinton on stage. No, Clinton was not Major Tony Nelson, Jeannie's romantic interest on the show, but he did make a rather fun surprise cameo. The audience cheered, giggled, and loved every moment of the lighthearted moment. Barbara Eden's choice to don the outfit once more brought home to everyone how iconic her character truly was. Although decades had gone by, she demonstrated the same poise, vitality, and confidence that made her a star in the first place. The fact that she could still slip into the original style costume and wear it so elegantly left people absolutely stunned. The look was more than a stroll down memory lane. It was a powerful, entertaining way for Eden to bask in her own history while doing some good along the way, and it served as a reminder to everyone that true stars never dim, no matter how much time goes by. So, yes, in 2013, Jeannie emerged from the bottle once again, and as ever, she stole the spotlight. Jeannie's fun connection with the monkeys. I Dream of Jeannie didn't only create waves itself. It actually had a fun relationship with another hip NBC sitcom from the 1960s, The Monkees. While The Monkees lasted only 2 seasons, the two series were like twins on the same television network. They even had the same music supervisor, Don Kirshner, which resulted in some nice crossovers and in-house jokes. In a 1966 The Monkees episode titled The Spy Who Came In From the Cool, there's a humorous scene in which Davy Jones, one of the Monkees, rubs a tiny table lamp, similar to I Dream of Jeannie. A gorgeous genie in a harem costume comes out of a cloud of smoke and addresses him as her master. Only she isn't Barbara Eden. Davy, grinning with amusement, glances around and exclaims, "Imagine that wrong show." It was a goofy wink at the audience that two of these shows belong to one TV universe. The next year, I Dream of Jeannie reciprocated with an episode titled Jeannie the Hip Hippie. It features Jeannie starting a rock band consisting of actual musicians Tommy Boyce and Bobby Hart. These two composed some of the Monkees' most popular songs. Listen closely, and you'll even catch an instrumental version of their hit single, Last Train to Clarksville, playing in the background. In another moment, Hart holds a copy of the Monkees' debut album. These little asides were a nice wink for fans of both programs. Years afterward, in a retro TV show called American Dreams, 2002-2005, there was another nod. Meg and Roxanne are two teenage girls who travel to Los Angeles during the summer of 1966 and come across the I Dream of Jeannie set. There they encounter Barbara Eden, or rather Paris Hilton, as Barbara Eden in complete Jeannie garb. Hilton impersonating Eden even knows Meg from American Bandstand, creating a nice and humorous TV moment. These small crossovers reveal how integrated pop culture was during those times, and how much fun the producers were enjoying backstage. She was the real-life lion whisperer. Barbara Eden didn't only star as a magical genie on television, she also knew a thing or two about dealing with lions. On the first season of I Dream of Jeannie, there was an episode where a real, live lion appeared. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? But Eden wasn't fazed. She had worked with lions previously and even joked in her autobiography, Jeannie Out of the Bottle, that she was somewhat of a lion expert. Eden knew prior to filming that it was essential for the cast to form a rapport with the lion. She instructed her co-star Larry Hagman, who starred as Major Tony Nelson, that it was all about building the animal's trust. "You must be very still and allow the lion to smell you," she instructed him. "Then, when he has done that, you must lean forward very, very slowly and stroke him. That way, he'll feel safe and everything will go smoothly." But Hagman wasn't having it. According to Eden, he flat out refused. "I'm not making friends with any fucking lion," he reportedly said. So, while Barbara spent some time bonding with the big cat and getting him comfortable, Hagman kept his distance. When it came time to film the scene, things did not quite work out as intended. Eden was completely serene in the presence of the lion, and the creature relaxed in the presence of hers. But as soon as the lion got a glimpse of Hagman, a stranger to him, it let out a deafening and frightening roar that sent Hagman and a few crew members racing off the set. Barbara remained calm and composed, and the lion didn't seem to care about her whatsoever. Hagman later confirmed the tale was true at a 2011 panel with Eden, demonstrating that the lion handling abilities were genuine. So, though Barbara Eden might be best known for making dreams come true with a blink and a nod, she also possessed the courage and aplomb to stand next to a raging lion and not even sweat. Now that's some Jeannie-level confidence. Barbara Eden turned down a call from John F. Kennedy. Perhaps the most astonishing story Barbara Eden has ever told concerns none other than John F. Kennedy, yes, the eventual president of the United States. So, back in the early 1960s when JFK had not yet become president, Barbara did have a brief encounter with him. She was already gaining fame in Hollywood by then, and JFK was a famous political figure who was rising through the ranks. Their encounter wasn't a grand or fancy one. It was simple, just a passing exchange of courtesy and smiles. She told that he was extremely polite and charming. Her memoir, Jeannie Out of the Bottle. But off camera, Hagman was fighting. Eden remembers him drinking repeatedly, taking drugs such as marijuana and LSD to relax, and snapping when scripts didn't meet his approval. Indeed, the most memorable episode involved a group of visiting nuns. Hagman seized an axe, cursed obscenely, and brandished it wildly, terrifying everyone and putting an end to set visits once and for all. The producers hired a therapist, but the council, additional champagne and grass, only made things worse. Barbara, by contrast, stayed grounded. She remained kind and reliable, a calming presence amid the chaos. But the off-screen tension showed. Eden and Hagman were never close friends. Their relationship was cordial, respectful, and professional, but distant. The beautiful, midriff-bearing outfit Jeannie wore was a battleground. NBC censors demanded that her belly button be concealed. Navels remained taboo in the 1960s, covering it even with flesh-colored plugs when kids wore loose-fitting outfits. Initially, it was no big deal. Eden's costume rode well above her waist, and only a sly camera angle once came close to showing her belly button. It was an innocent moment until it was mentioned by a reporter. Suddenly, NBC's standards and practices leaped into action and outright prohibited any glimpse of Eden's belly button on air. This type of censorship was also indicative of the way Eden was treated backstage. Her body was monitored and policed. On a subsequent laugh-in appearance, they even disallowed a costume joke that would have revealed her belly button. Behind the glamorous facade, Eden had to constantly negotiate sexist code-provided escapism filled with humor and fantasy. The true story it speaks is one of the intricate world of television production during the 1960s, particularly for a woman at the center. Barbara Eden was a beacon of charm, grace, and poise, but beneath the sheen of TV lights, she was struggling with an industry that very frequently disregarded her voice. The fact that she was able to carry the show through with ease, in spite of being beset by creative constraints on all sides, is a tribute to her professionalism and spirit. Jeannie's cultural influence cannot be exaggerated. It caused people to talk about gender roles, censorship, and even fantasy itself, bending norms in an age that tended to shut down dissent. It was an age of change, and Jeannie was and network regulations. The legacy of I Dream of Jeannie is much richer than a magical romance between a genie and an astronaut. While the series sitting at the precipice of that change, during all the offstage drama, artesian fights, and quiet tolerance, what stands is the timelessness of the character and the woman who embodied her. Eden's tale reminds us that even artists who create magic for other people sometimes endure unseen wars of their own. In retrospect, I Dream of Jeannie is more than a hazy memory. It's a strong commentary on how celebrity, entertainment, and identity tend to intersect. And at the heart of it all stood a woman who winked her way into our affection even when the world behind the scenes wasn't so great. If you enjoyed getting into the real story behind I Dream of Jeannie and Barbara Eden's unforgettable journey, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps us out. And if you want more deep explorations into the untold stories of your favorite shows, stars, and iconic moments from Hollywood's golden age, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay curious, stay nostalgic, and we'll see you in the next one.